My custom Kawasaki Versys X300 trailer is almost complete. All I have left to do is the trailer wiring. I don't know if this is even necessary or not, but I do want to have lights, if for nothing else, just for safety. The more lights, the better. I bought this light on eBay. It was like $5 shipped to my door. Super cheap. It has marker lights. It has a brake light right here also, and then left and right turn signals. The problem is, most common lightweight trailers that you pull with your vehicle, they have 4-pin harnesses. One's a common ground, one is your marker, one is left turn signal, and one is right turn signal. In this case, however, I actually need 5 wires. I need the common ground, the marker, the brake light, and then the left turn and right turn signal. Lightweight trailers generally combine the left and turn signal with the brake, and so it's all red. It's just both of these light up red when you push your brakes, and then one flashes if it's brakes and turn signal and whatever. I can't use the same connector that a normal 4-pin trailer would use. They do make some 5-pin trailer connectors, and that 5th pin, however, is for brakes. It's not for the brake, a separate brake light. I guess I could have still used that same connector, but in my case, what I decided to do is I actually, in high school, I had a side job where I made Ethernet cables, and I would get paid based on how many I would make. And so I'm really good in my life. I've made so many Ethernet cables. So I'm actually going to, and I have a lot of the material already to do this stuff. I did buy these on Amazon. These are supposed to be watertight connectors. I bought a 5-pack. They were $25. It was kind of high, but you know, I think it's just going to make this job a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do, this came with a really short pigtail. I already crimped an Ethernet cable on the end before I realized I have to run it through before crimping the end. So I'm going to cut this off and redo it. But I'm going to have one connector here just to extend the length of this, and then it's going to go up to the tongue, and then have another, I'm going to put another connector on the back of the bike, and that's going to then go into that back fender and get wired into everything. I bought a 5-pack of these weather-tight boots, and I believe it's probably a good thing I did. The way they work is it seems like you run your cable in through the back of this, and then tighten it up, and then that gives you your weather-tight seal. This comes through, and then this is actually just a cheesy male connector, or 2 female connectors. So you plug this in to one side, plug your cable into the other side. So I'm thinking I can just take 2. I bought a 5-pack, so I sacrificed 2 of them, and then I get my weather-tight connector where I'm actually joining 2 of them together. So let me work on, I'm going to chop this off. Since I don't really know what these colors are for, you know, Chinese, that you never know what they are. So I'm just going to crimp them, put them in, and then I'll do trial and error when I get to the other side until I figure out what they all are. Okay, so it looks like since I've got 5, I'm going to do orange, green, white, blue, and blue, white, green are the pins that I'm going to be using. So I'm not going to be using the brown or orange, white. Okay. So now I'll do the same thing to this other side. So I think normally what you're supposed to do is have one of these on there so you can cap it if you're not using it. But this one's going to be permanently hooked up to 2 of them, so I'm not as worried about it. So my cable's black, which is nice, matches my trailer. So my wire that I'm using, this is Cat 5e, it's solid copper. I would not actually recommend using solid copper. I'm using it because it's what I have. But the reason why is because solid copper has a tendency to, you know, this is like 24 gauge, or it's pretty thin stuff, but it has a tendency to break if it flexes too much. But I'm going to go ahead and use it. If it breaks, I'll replace it, but I have this on hand right now, so that's why I'm using it. You could do any color combination you want, since this is just low voltage, it's not signal. But I'm going to stick with the standard. So you go orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. So I'll trim them back. Yeah, perfect. Now I'll screw this in. There, now I have, according to Amazon, or whoever this company is, Best, I think, this is now a weather-tight connection. I'm going to take their word for it. So I'm going to just run it underneath here, and I'll have it zip tied in a couple places just to this bar. Underneath here I've got 6 bolts, and then it looks like a couple more here, but it looks like this is 2 different pieces of plastic. So I'm going to take these bolts out and just separate this and see what I can see. I want to be able to feed my wire out, and I want it to be as least visible as possible. And you know, if I'm going to drill a hole, I'd rather drill a hole through something like right here and have my wire come out here, and then I can wrap it up and tie it to the license plate mount. That seems like it would be a cleaner look than if I just have it coming out of the top of this fender. Alright, I can see some daylight up there, so I know that I can run a cable down through here. I got the cable pulled through. I took a tiny pin light and turned it on, and then I just stuck it up in there and had it sit. Then I came back here and I looked for the light, and I could see the light coming from that little hole, which is right below where the brake light wire goes in. So I just came up here and shoved the wire down there, and until I could see it coming out. I tried a couple different routes, but I couldn't quite get it to go through, so I guess there may be a conduit or a channel through that allows the wires. And if you kind of look closely, you can see that's where the other wires below are going to run to the license plate light and the turn signal anyway. I need to pull this panel off because that's where all my wiring goes to. So to pull this off, I need to, it looks like I need to remove this Allen. There's an Allen right here. I may need to pull this piece off. Your IKEA set of Allens to get your luggage rack off. Okay, the one on top is a 4. And I may actually have to pull more off to get this. I got this one down here. Looks like another 4. There's one here, that's another 4. That just pulls out. So I had to remove 2 Allens to get that out. And then it looks like it's exposed one more 4mm Allen right here. And then one up here, so 2 more. All right, let's see what that gets us. Okay, it definitely got us almost all the way there. The luggage rack may have to completely come off though. Okay, so you can get by with just removing 2 of the luggage rack bolts. So now we've exposed both of our turn signals. This is probably our license plate light, so we won't need to touch that one. And then this one's got 3 wires on it, so I'm thinking that's the brake light. Feed it down. My pocket knife's in the house, and I'm a little too lazy to go in and get it, so I'm just going to use this utility knife to strip the end of this. So I'm not using the brown or the orange white. I know that, so I'm going to go ahead and get those wires up out of the way and cut them. So here's my 5 wires. So I got to now splice these wires into these wires after I figure out which one's which. How am I going to figure out which one's which, you ask? I'm going to go ahead and crimp this one on and crimp an end on here, plug it in, and then I'm going to use a 12-volt battery and do trial and error until I get it to work. So again, Go ahead and unscrew this. Run my wire through. Crimp an end on here. So again, following the standard orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Even though I'm not using orange, white, or the brown pair, I'm still going to crimp them all together because it makes it easier to crimp the end on. Perfect. I got all the wires spliced on. The right connector here is the right turn signal. The left one is the left turn signal. Black is ground, green is hot. So I tapped onto the greens. The ground, I ended up using the brake light ground. Doesn't really matter. I think they all go to the same place. They all go to ground. And then the daytime running light, whatever you want to call that, marker light, and brake light are these two. I don't remember which one's which. I just spliced them on there. But I use these little connectors I bought on Amazon that it just makes it easy to kind of tap off onto an existing wire. You go around, crimp it with some pliers, and then it comes with these little pieces that plug into those. So it's not, I mean, if I did it wrong, I could unplug and plug into another one. But since this is like probably 24 gauge solid copper wire, these red ones are supposed to be from 18 to 22 gauge. So it's a little bit smaller wire than what it should have. But what I generally do anyway when using these crimps, I've had too many times where they just slide out when I crimp them. And I've learned the best way to deal with that is strip them a little bit longer than you normally would, and then fold them back in half and bend them. Make sure that looped part is past where you crimp. That way you can't pull them out. It crimps down, and then there's a bulge, and then that bulge is bigger than the rest of the wire. That just generally seems to work a lot better when I do that. So now I got to figure out, I'm going to zip tie all this, try to, cover it all up and get that side piece back on. I'm going to run to the back and show you the lights now. During reassembly, I wanted to show you a trick that I've learned before. These little rubber grommets, these go into them, little like tabs or something like that, and they slide into the rubber grommets. But oftentimes, whenever you go to push it in, it just ends up pushing the rubber grommet through, and then you lose the advantage of having a rubber grommet in the first place. So what I found to do is get you some Dawn dish soap mixed with some water and just spray those. And that lubricates them enough that these will slide in a little bit easier. It won't push the grommet through. See, they just slap in a lot easier. And then the soap will just dry away over time. I got all those in, and the rubber grommets didn't push through. I ran it out this little hole here that I cut. I just used a knife and cut 2 slits, and then I used a pair of pliers, and I reached in and I just broke it out. The cable comes out and then wraps behind the license plate, so it's a little less noticeable, at least that way. And then it just goes straight down, and I had to bend the license plate out a little bit, but there's the connector. I suspect, it's kind of being held snug. If it comes out, whatever. It's not going far. I may run a zip tie around the back here just to, well, it doesn't need one. But anyway, so that's with its weather boot on. I'm going to unscrew that. So when I'm actually pulling a trailer, like right now, that'll just hang down. Hopefully it doesn't break off in the wind, flapping around. And then run this cable up. Plug it in. I'm good to go. Now I'm connected. What I like about these Ethernet connectors is there's a little clip, so you have to push that down in order to get them to come out, which is kind of nice for when you're driving down the road, so it just kind of helps secure it in place. Now it's just kind of bundled up here. I could possibly, if this becomes a problem, I don't know if it will, stretching and moving around side to side over time. Maybe I'll need to do some experimenting with sharp turns and stuff and make sure there's no, this cable has enough flex in it to reach all angles. But I wonder if I could just get like a phone cord. I think they make phone cords that are 6-pin, so that would probably work. But I could get a phone cord, the old style that are coiled, like the kind you use on your headset. So that way it could be coiled from here to here, and just have it connect in both places so it can bungee. Just an idea. So anyway, I guess it's ready. I'm really excited to try it out. I got a trip coming up in a couple weeks that I'm planning on taking this trailer on, so I've kind of been in a rush lately to get it done. Worst case scenario, I don't have to take the trailer on that trip. I just kind of wanted to. It'll be its maiden voyage. It's going to be a 3-hour drive, so at least for me it will be. Maybe even longer depending on back roads. So it's going to get a good test in. I can't wait though. If this thing does end up working out, I'll definitely have a lot more luxury items that I can bring moto camping. I'm thinking for this first trip though, the first time I use it on this 3-hour drive, I'm not really gonna. I'm just gonna bring the normal stuff I would be able to put on the bike, and then an hour into the drive is my brother-in-law's house. So if I decide this is not working out, I can stop over and dump it in his garage and continue the drive. So I may just haul it with stuff on it that I could normally put back here, just not put back here. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. I can't wait to get out and try it out. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.